This video is sponsored by the Dibuda VPN. Buy an annual subscription for 99% off when using the code Dibuda. The Dibuda VPN, you are 100% guaranteed no logs unless they have to give those logs to a government organization. And they won't sell your data unless they need to. Trust the Dibuda VPN today. You are 100% secure unless you aren't. Then you're screwed. Virtual private networks, or VPNs. You've heard them, you've seen about them. Which one is the best one? Well, the Dibuda VPN, of course. All right, all dumb jokes aside, you've probably seen why you should buy a VPN, and you've seen probably thousands of different YouTubers and sponsors about VPNs. It hides your IP address, you're 100% secure, according to some of them, and yeah, the VPN, you need one. Now, this video is like a recycle point of all the videos you've probably seen on why you shouldn't buy a VPN, but I wanted to summarize why a VPN, it really isn't necessary in the 21st century, in a way. Unless there is one primary reason, which is you are trying to access content and media that is outside the constraint of a government or organization. Now, this is addressed towards end-user VPNs for consumers like you and I. But even corporate VPNs have shown their flaws in the recent years. And I'm not going to go into the corporate VPN side of things because, well, that doesn't really affect end users like you and I. But before we do this, let's just overview what a VPN is and the different types of VPNs. So what is a VPN? Well, for those of you who don't know, a virtual private network extends a private network over an untrusted, insecure public internet. Traditionally, VPNs increase the functionality, privacy, and security of a network connection over an untrusted network connection. This was often manifested in the forms of corporate or enterprise VPNs, where employees connected to a VPN in order to gain access to business resources such as file servers, emails, and much more. One of the first well-known origins of a VPN was back in 1996 when employees at Microsoft created a point-to-point tunneling protocol called PPTP, so users could secure their network traffic through forming an encrypted tunnel, protecting against eavesdropping and potential sniffing attacks. Up until the early 2000s, the PPTN technology was primarily used in business or corporate settings to secure a connection between businesses. But as the public started to gain access to the internet, people transferred their data into online data, and VPNs became add-on for additional security. What are the different types of VPNs? Because there are considered several different types, and depending on who you ask, what website you look at, there's going to be different answers, but I'm just going to narrow it down to three main types of VPNs. First is the SSL or TLS VPN, which creates an encrypted tunnel using the SSL or TLS now protocol, which is integrated into usually a standard web browser. Then there is the network or remote access VPN. This is used to link remote users to a website by connecting to a VPN server first. The VPN server acts as an intermediary between the client and the server, and it hides the user's IP address, appearing as if it's coming from the VPN server rather than the direct user client IP address. And then there is the site-to-site VPN, which is used to securely connect two geographically distributed sites. So think of a corporate office and three branch offices. They all have site-to-site VPNs which connect back to a corporate office. Now, I'm not going to overview the different types of VPN protocols, technologies such as IPsec, L2TP, OpenVPN. It's really not in the scope of a video like this. I'm more so focused on the actual use of a VPN rather than the underlying technology. What I do want to talk about is this new desk I was sent to by Flexispot. Now, okay, full disclosure, this desk was sent over to me, but they're not paying me anything in extra stuff. So yeah, at this point, you may know, I love standing desks. I love Flexispot. I have few Flexispot desks, and in this particular case, this model is the Flexispot EF1 two-tier standing desk. Now, I opted in for the largest setting and the black color. There's two main things I do really like about this desk. First is that it's a two-tier setup, as the name suggests. I have my monitors on the top ledge, my keyboard on the other, and you can adjust this in a way where if you want to have it just one flat desk, you can do that. The second part is the 4 programmable settings you get with the desk in addition to adjusting with the height up and down arrows. I set up this Flexispot desk a few weeks ago. I really enjoy the quality, it's at a great price, and yeah. So if you are interested in getting yourself a standing desk and enhancing your setup, go check out the link in the description below to take a look at this desk if you are interested. All right, now back to the video. In the early days of the internet, end users actually did have a real use case for a VPN as an add-on security measure, specifically as most web content was accessed via the HTTP protocol. A user's connection could be eavesdropped from an attacker or man-in-the-middle attack to gain access to their usernames, password, credit card information, and more. However, through time, the primary purpose of an end-user VPN has diminished. Now, of course, you're going to say, this is just one specific scenario, right? I mean, there's all different types of scenarios on why you should use a VPN. You're being too specific here. But oftentimes, for the majority of end users, all they're doing is accessing content over, the web. Right. With the enforcement and introduction of HTTPS, which stands for HTTP Secure, or Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure, HTTPS automatically implements a certificate-based encryption and authentication scheme. When this was introduced and enforced primarily through Google, well, the primary use of online VPNs started to diminish. With close to 80%, or 78.9, considering what resource you look at, almost all of websites now use the default protocol, HTTPS. But why is it that we are still seeing so many different ads for buying a VPN, which VPN is the best VPN? You see entire websites dedicated to reviewing VPNs. Well, it's all about money. And the VPN business is very lucrative and competitive. For example, the VPN provider, ExpressVPN, a very well-known one, was acquired by Cape Technologies back in September of 2021 for $936 million US. Cape Technologies also owned and purchased CyberGhost in 2017, ZenMate in 2018, Private Internet Access in 2019 for $95 million, and then, of course, the ExpressVPN acquisition in 2021. So it's a VPN conglomerate, huge, big company, and there is a lot of money to be made, such as all of these other VPN companies. Traditional VPN advertisement messaging boasts about different use cases on why a VPN is necessary, including that attackers should be eliminated from sniffing attacks, protection against ISP snooping of where you surf the web through DNS primarily, and they can track where those DNS requests are going. There's a privacy implications such as hiding or masquerading your IP address, access to restricted or blocked content from authoritarian governments, or just, finding your favorite Netflix subscription stuff. And look, these all seem to appear like good reasons on why you should use a VPN, except most of these can be accomplished through the creation of your own VPN server. So for all of you tech people out there, maybe a script kiddie like myself, why pay the extra money for a VPN provider who not only has access to your real information, but can also see everything that you are doing? And for the companies who claim the zero logging policy, I'm not saying that there isn't a such thing, but think again. Your trust is as good as nothing, really. Claims of zero logging, in my opinion, and what I've seen with different incidents happening, is, it's not totally true. Take ProtonMail, for example, a very well-respected security services provider, and something that I thought was, pretty reputable within the security industry. Well, they also offer, of course, Proton VPN. Well, in September of 2021, ProtonMail did log the IP address of a French activist and gave it over to a Swiss government. This news broke out, and people were like, what? That was a company that had a policy, which then they changed, to say, we don't do logging. Well, they did do logging. And what's to say that any of these other VPN providers aren't doing the same? They may be saying that, but you just never know. From a pure security viewpoint, you can create your own VPN server for basically little to nothing. Using an open source protocol such as OpenVPN, the newly released WireGuard within the last couple of years, you could buy a cheap Raspberry Pi, install those protocols, or you could just subscribe to a cloud provider like Linode, DigitalOcean, AWS if you want to, and you can run your connections through your encrypted tunnel VPN server, and it's a fun project to do. And if you don't want to do this, there is other providers out there like Tailscale, which overlay a VPN network over your existing infrastructure. For the majority of end users, they don't really have an idea, really care about any of all those services. That's an unnecessary step, and I get that. But let's remember that the majority of end users are accessing google.com, YouTube, and anything else on the web. And this is primarily accomplished through HTTPS. And you may be saying, well, that's okay, but phishing websites, they have HTTPS. And that's very true, but VPN servers won't protect against that if the user inputs their credentials, downloads a malicious file. That doesn't really protect at all. Now, the issue of ISP snooping. This still does exist, and I could understand where people come from. They don't want their ISP snooping on their network connection. But end users can take free steps to mitigate or at least make it harder for an ISP to track where they're going. Methods such as enabling DNS over HTTPS, which has been proven to not fully mitigate ISP snooping because they can track other data points within your HTTPS connection, but it's still an extra step. You could use DNS over TLS, which is a little different than DNS over HTTPS. You can use DNS proxies, or you can route through a DNS provider such as Cloudflare's 1.1.1.1. Now, I want to highlight here, whether it's using a VPN or using some workarounds like I just talked about, all you're really doing is shifting your trust from one provider to another. As an individual who maybe has security and privacy in mind, you have to choose which provider you want to place your network connections or just your general trust in. Is it a VPN provider that claims zero logging? Is it a DNS provider that says, hey, we could do this for free? Or is it your ISP? Well, that's up to you. Okay, now I'm not ignorant, right? I understand that there is still a few use cases, one primarily that comes to mind when it comes to VPNs, and that is accessing restricted or blocked content. There are plenty of other governments that have restrictive, authoritarian lockdown of their network, and a VPN can provide a way to freely access the internet. Also, if you are a big fan of different Netflix subscriptions within different countries, of course, that would also be great because you can change your geographical network location so you can get access to different countries' Netflix or other subscription services. The premise of this video is the next time that you see a VPN sponsorship or a VPN advertisement, think about really the different methods and the messaging behind a VPN service. They're there to make money, and it's a business. All businesses are trying to make money, I get it, but just think about that. So I hope this video has been a little bit more informational. I know it's high level. And remember, if everything fails, you can always use the Dibuda VPN. Terrible humor. Anyways, I hope all is well. Hopefully this video has given you a little bit of insight into VPNs if you haven't considered that before. And yep, until the next video, have a good day.